What's up, guys? My name is Matt, and my prediction was a day off, but 1.1.1, the new Destiny update, has arrived, and it arrived yesterday. And there was a lot of changes. We've covered a lot of them before, but I'm going to quickly go over all of them for you guys. And I will have the new match-made weekly strike in the background. Because why not? Why not use a new feature in the weekly update? So let's get into everything that is new. There's a lot, so let's get started. Alright guys, the first section was about weapons, and we're first going to cover the general changes. First, they fixed an issue in which armor with perks that increase ammunition carrying capacity resulted in ammunition loss upon respawn. Basically, the heavy ammo glitch is fixed. And I've tested this in-game, actually tested it in the gameplay in the background. You'll see it at some point, me opening up a synthesis. Regardless, they fixed it, and it's finally fixed. The second thing is they increased over-penetration value for weapons with armor-piercing perks. Now, I don't know if this fixes the cheeses that I haven't posted on my channel yet, but if it did, I'm going to be very sad. Regardless, next thing is they fixed an issue where items from the PS3 360 Destiny demo were using old power values. They have been adjusted to regular levels. I think all the problems with the 365 damage values, everything that we were bitching about and complaining about, has been fixed. Next thing is the Song of Your Weapon tooltip now advertises the correct magazine size. The Shoot to Loot perk, which was used for a glitch that allowed you to get more ammunition than you were supposed to, has now been added, or now has had a 2-second cooldown added to the perk to prevent extra ammunition gains while ammunition bricks despawn. The Darkbreaker perk will now correctly damage Hive Shriekers. Snap Discharge will now increase the attack speed as per description. The Thunder perk now has priority on the Fourth Horseman tooltip, and Full Auto. It had the Full Auto perk. They fixed an issue in which the weapon perk stopped working while the trigger was being held down. Now let's talk about the weapon changes to general weapon changes when it comes to like assaults and all those things. Alright, so this is just the general changes to base weapons like auto rifles, pulse rifles, hand cannons, fusion rifles, and shotguns. So with auto rifles, they reduced the base damage of auto rifles by 2.5% and reduced the effective range. Now there was more in-depth coverage of this, and I did a video on it. You can go find it if you want, but this is just the general basis of what they did. They increased the base damage of pulse rifles. I can't say pulse for some reason right now. Pulse rifles by 9.7%. For hand cannons, they slightly reduced the effective range and slightly reduced initial accuracy. For fusion rifles, they widened the blast pattern of fusion rifle bursts, and then they reduced the starting ammunition in PvP. And then for shotguns, they reduced the starting ammunition in PvP as well, but they also increased the damage against all non-guardian combatants by 2 times. That's a 100% increase. Basically, now, anything that is not the Crucible, your shotguns do twice the damage, and from what I've seen playing with them a little bit, it is literally the most OP shit in the world. It's amazing. I love using shotguns now. And then they reduced to high-end range values, and damage fall-off starts sooner. Now, the next section is strikes, and as you can see on the screen, there isn't much changes. There isn't many changes to strikes, but the 2 changes are amazing changes. Those 2 changes are weekly heroic strikes are now in a match-made activity. Basically, you now can select weekly heroic and hit launch, and it'll find people to play with. And as you can see, I already did that early on in the video, so we're going to discuss that. And the second thing is strikes will be less likely to repeat in matchmaking rotations for full fire teams. So if you're running for with a full fire team in ROC or ROC for you elitist perfect people out there, rock strikes or any strike playlist that you play, you're less likely to see a repeat, and that's an amazing change. Now the next section really focused on PvP, and the first thing they said that players will now unlock all playlists that would include Control, Clash, Rumble, and Skirmish simultaneously when unlocking the Crucible. Basically, I guess that you had to play a Crucible or a Control to unlock Clash and a Clash to unlock Rumble. That's no longer a thing. You just get them all at level 5 the first time you play Crucible. So if you didn't ever play Crucible, you now have them all unlocked. They added a new notification when Crucible modes unlock. Again, that ties into the previous change. And then Crucible maps will be less likely to repeat in matchmaking rotations for full fire teams, just like strikes. So if you're running with a full fire team, you're less likely to see that same map over and over again. Next thing is Guardians no longer drop heavy ammunition when killed in PvP. So basically, if you take heavy ammo before when you killed someone, they would drop the heavy ammo that they had. That is no longer a thing. I guess it's to balance the amount of heavy ammunition in the game. Now, Guardians also now drop much less special ammunition when killed in PvP. Same lines along the previous thing, except for they drop less. They used to drop a lot of special ammunition when killed. Now they drop much less. Completed matches will now award gear with proper power level. I guess there was an issue where you would get things that didn't make sense for your character. And then they fixed a bug where there was no audio playing for the bullet that kills them. So I guess that was also an issue. That's now fixed. And then for Iron Banner playlist now contains smaller maps in rotation, which means there's more maps than rotation, which means we're less likely to see Blind Watch, Blind Watch, Blind Watch, Blind Watch, Blind Watch, Rusted Lands, Rusted Lands, Rusted Lands, Blind Watch. You tell that was like a huge concern on my end. That's no longer a thing. And then the focused aggression bounty, which I believe is the headshots with auto rifles, is no longer just headshots with auto rifles. I believe it's a headshot with a primary weapon. Can now be finished with headshots from pulse rifles, scouts, and hand cannons. So it'll be good. We won't be seeing so many Surosh banners, the Iron Banner, the Iron Regime, whatever people were calling it. That is no longer a thing. Alright, the next two sections, the items section and the user interface section, I kind of grouped together because I felt that they kind of went into the same thing. Regardless, in items, they said they fixed an issue with Xur did not carry exotic engrams in inventory on certain dates. He now will always have exotic engrams. Courtesy and completion emblem will now be sent to your postmaster when the player inventory is full. Ammunition consumables will now work properly when the player inventory is full. That used to be a glitch. It still was a glitch until today. Or yesterday, technically, and I totally forgot about it. It just had been ingrained in my brain to not have a full inventory if I wanted synthesis to work. And then they fixed an issue that prevented qualifying players who had deleted their characters from claiming the Tumbler Sparrow from Tess Everest in the tower. So I guess I don't know what that means, but apparently now you're probably able to claim your Tumbler if you weren't before. I didn't know that was an issue. Next thing in the user interface, they added that weekly faction reputation menu to where you can check it from there. Players in public spaces will no longer see voice notifications when players in a match-made fire team enter, and players will now see improved notifications when teammates join and depart team and fire team chat channels. So apparently all those things are fixed. The only thing that I really knew was an issue and that really bothered me was the faction reputation not being able to be checked from your menu. The other two things were kind of, they're there. I just expected it to be a normal thing. It didn't really bother me, but they've all been fixed. Now, I did leave out a section called Grimoire. The Grimoire cards had a lot of changes to them, but it was a lot of just like, we made it to where this strike gave you the right thing, and this thing gave you the right thing. You can always go check it out. The link's in the description to the actual update thread. You can go look at it if you want. There's a bunch of changes to Grimoire. See your Grimoire score if you haven't logged on to Destiny, since this update will be different than what you did if you've done the things that have been changed. But they also added some technical things. The DLC and patch systems have been improved. The Xbox One upsell from trial to full version no longer makes you leave the game. And they improved some networking resilience to packet reordering and networking improvements for certain routers. And then they also pointed out that there was an edit. A bug was introduced in this patch that caused the Vex Mythoclast to spawn with less ammo in the magazine and reserves in PvP. This weapon was affected by overall fusion rifle changes because it is treated as a secondary weapon. They intend to correct this issue in the future. Regardless, the Vex Mythoclast was a pretty powerful weapon, so regardless, I don't see that being an issue, but it is a bug, and that will be fixed in the future. But that is everything from the weekly update. I know this was a long video, but there was a lot to cover in this. There's so much that just changed to Destiny, and it made it a better game. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with House of Wolves. If this was preparatory for House of Wolves, and we haven't seen a lot of things even yet. They haven't really mentioned House of Wolves except for the fact that they're working on it and kind of a rough idea as to when we're going to get it. I'm looking forward to House of Wolves. I'm looking forward to everything. I'm looking forward to future changes. This was a good change. But if you like this sort of thing and you're new here, I'm going to do my sellout thing and tell you to subscribe. Leave a like, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about all these changes. And as always, my name is Matt, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.